There are 4 aerospace covert facilities. This is what we call the aerospace connection in the Antelope Valley and also the San Joaquin Valley. Rockwell in the San Joaquin, Lockheed, McDonnell Douglas, and Northrop in the Antelope Valleys. And these operations are extremely suspicious. They have a surface cover activity. They call themselves RCS testing sites. That stands for radar cross-section. And apparently their presumed purpose is to test various aeroform designs atop pylons with radar cross-section. And the disturbing part is that we have found out with incontrovertible proof that there are extensive underground facilities. And for example, Northrop, we have documented to have 42 levels underground. Now, if this is radar cross-section testing, which is above ground, why do they need 42 levels underground? Also, at the Lockheed facility out in Helendale, we had an investigative reporter who saw a blueprint of the building plans for that facility that he wasn't supposed to see. It showed that they had an extensive underground facility 300 feet down. And when this reporter interviewed the person who was in charge of that facility, they had a nice, pleasant interview until at the end he told the director that he was aware of this extensive underground facility. And what could he tell him about that? And immediately the man's eyes grew wide and he said, "This interview is terminated." So it's very suspicious. And then, of course, we have other reports of people in the area who say that they have seen alien craft emanating from these facilities and terminating at these facilities. And other kinds of blue beams, strange lights in the sky, surveillance orbs, the size of basketballs, medicine balls that survey the area and move in ways that we don't possess that kind of technology. In terms of the Northrop facility, which is also known as the Anthill, the construction, the underground facility was greatly enlarged in the early 80s. And what took place there was an enlargement, I understand, from 13 levels underground to 42 levels underground. And we have reports from construction workers who actually worked on the site, cement truck drivers, and at one point, Michael, cement trucks suddenly appeared on the scene 5 miles long, pouring concrete continuously 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for weeks. And we figure at 3 yards of concrete, 9 yards of concrete per truck, close to 1 million yards of concrete must have been poured underground. Also, we understand from the construction workers that 3 silos were constructed there, 3 underground silos, and we were bringing out the fact that saucers have been seen to just come screaming out of the facility as if they had had some travel distance underground. And also craft would, like helicopters, would come into the facility and just disappear into the ground. So we knew from construction reports and from visual reports outside the facility that something very suspicious in the way of silos was going on. Norio and I put together the first investigative team to actually fly over these facilities and investigate them from the air with video cameras, still camera shots. It was very exciting. And on our first flyover of the Northrop facility, we spent about an hour in the air on that trip. It was historic. You can imagine that my heart practically jumped out of my mouth when we're flying over, and the pilot, unsolicited, says to me, "By the way, there are 3 silos down there." Now, I had learned from my inside contacts that 3 silos had been constructed there. And I was looking for those silos the minute we appeared over the facility. I was intensely looking for 3 silos, didn't see any, and suddenly the pilot says to me, "But I just told you." I was shocked. I tried to contain my excitement, and I pretended to be rather casual about it, and I said, "I'm sorry, I beg your pardon, but did you say silos down there?" And he says, oh yes, he says, you see those white diamonds? And sure enough, there were 3 white diamonds. Now this pilot, you must understand, we rented the plane in the Antelope Valley, so he flies that area continuously. He has students, he's a pilot instructor. So he's flying over there all the time. He told me that on numerous occasions when he's flown over these facilities, those white diamonds, the white covering will be gone to reveal a deep, dark hole or silo into the ground.
Not only the black projects, but deep black projects program that is taking place about 10 miles south of Groom Lake. Groom Lake facility, of course, is a black projects program that is, technologically speaking, not in line with higher technology that is present 10 miles south, which is located on Papoose Lake facility. That is where a new type of propulsion system is being test flown, and again, it's my contention that some select U.S. pilots have been given instructions on maneuvering these objects. We have, from all types of reports and sources, this established this one fact, is that there is some type of pumpkin seed program. This is a nickname of a new type of propulsion system using pulse detonation system. And this is known as the pumpkin seed program because these objects they have almost like a diamond-shaped the form to this. Now, this is part of the Black Projects program. However, what I've been investigating is more than that. It's the Super Deep Black Projects program, which could possibly involve technology much higher than this type of pulse propulsion system, which could be antimatter or some type of anti-matter, as Mr. Lazar has been stating. The sources of our information are not only from researchers that have received a lot of infos through Aerospace Connection. We have been in touch with several persons that confirm that Black Project program is ongoing at Groom Lake facility, Papoose Lake facility, plus other facilities such as in California, the Northrop, McDonnell Douglas, and Lockheed. All of these facilities are conducting some type of testing of certain type of aerophones that resemble almost a disc. And it's possible, very possible, that the technology behind this could be received from some intelligence, not necessarily us. In other words, we're talking about something possible transfer of technology.
What is the horror of hell? You know what the biggest horror of hell is? The duration. How long it lasts. That's the most horrible part about it. I mean, if you ask me what is the most horrible, fearful part about hell, hands down, at a moment, I will say to you, the length of time that you're in hell, the fact that it goes on forever, that's what's so horrible about it. I mean, that's the worst part about it. He said that they'll depart from me into everlasting fire. You see, the Bible's clear that they shall go away into everlasting punishment. That's talking about being punished for all eternity. I mean, 100 years from now punished, 1,000. I mean, a punishment that never ends is what everlasting punishment means.
What does he say in verse 24? I am in agony in this flame, he says. We don't make much of that. We should make much of that. We should let that sink in, what he said. We've all experienced pain to some degree. We can know it makes a mockery of all our goals and desires. If you're in pain, you don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you don't want to do anything. You just shut down when you're in intense pain. Yet we don't seem to know pain as a little hint of hell. A little foretaste of what will befall those who do not know Christ. Pain is a grim reminder every day of what through Christ alone we can be spared from. It's a great reminder. God does not leave us with simply the mute fact of hell's physical pain. He tells us how real people will respond to that pain. He is literally warning. He says, first of all, there'll be weeping. In verse 28 of Luke 13. Weeping. Think about that concept in hell. Weeping is not something we get a grip on. It's something that grips us. When you hear someone weeping, recall how you were affected the last time you heard someone weep. Remember how you were moved with compassion. You wanted to protect and restore that person. The Lord wants us to know and consider what an upsetting experience is for a person who's in hell. It says that verse 28, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Verse 27 ends with, for those who never stop practicing iniquity. Weeping. Another response will be wailing. And we're going to get there momentarily. In Matthew 13 it says at verse 42, while weeping attracts our sympathy, wailing frightens and offends us. It is the pitiable bawl of a soul that's seeking escape, a person who's experienced hurt that's beyond repair. In hell, it's eternally unrepairable. So they wail. They weep because of their pain. They wail because of their hopelessness. It's amazing. Wailing is a sound grown that has gone grotesque because we conclude we can't live with it, the pain, anymore. A third response is right there in Luke 13:28, that gnashing of the teeth. Why was Jesus telling us that? Perhaps because of the anger or frustration of the person. It may be a defense against crying out. It might be an intense pause when one is too weary to cry any longer. But Jesus says they will be gnashing, grinding their teeth together in this